Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this is Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. We are so excited to be here again with all of you. And thank you to everybody who's joining us this morning. We really appreciate all of your love and support. Today, we are going to talk about something that came up when Rebecca, my head coach, and I were doing a talk for a workshop for one of our programs called SSW, the Sisterhood of Self-Actualized Women. And this is an amazing group of women who come out of our 12-week program, and then they want to continue working with us. And this is a group where we really help these women find their own inner wisdom. They become self-reliant. They learn how to turn to themselves for answers and really become the self-actualized women in every part of their lives, not just their love lives, but with their families, at work, with their kids, with everybody. And so it's a very, very beautiful continuation program. And we were talking, and one of our participants asked us a question, and it really struck a chord with me. And so I thought I would ask Benjamin to elaborate on this, since he's a man and he can give his own spin on it in a way that that we women can't. So what the client asked was, she said, Lisa, I don't understand. You're talking about us going out and dating and not giving up. And she said to me, but where do we find men today who will even integrate a woman into their lives? She said, none of the men I'm meeting want to integrate a woman into their lives. And she was becoming really frustrated. And she said, everything you're teaching is great, but if you can't even find a guy who wants to build a life with you, none of that matters. So we want to talk about that today. And we all know, babe, that there are certain men who can't or won't integrate a woman into their lives, right? They just can't or won't. So let's first talk about some of those guys. Why won't they bring a woman into their lives? They'll date us. They might have sex with us. Sometimes they'll see us for long periods of time. But when it comes to, hey, you know, can I meet your kids? Can I, you know, when are you going to take me to dinner on a double date with your colleagues or your friends? Or I'd love to meet your parents. Can I have a drawer, you know, next to the bed at your place, or leave a toothbrush? I'm curious, or why don't you have any pictures of us up? So what stops men from doing that?
I think a lot of men can compartmentalize the relationship, where they've got their work, they've got their friends, they have, you know, all these different elements of their lives, and they have a relationship, but it's very compartmentalized, and they tend to be happy just the way things are, you know, and very often, you know, the woman who really wants a deeper relationship is really afraid to have that conversation of where is this relationship going to. We've seen it many times in our groups where women really like the man, you know, and it's clear that the man really likes her, but they're terrified to have the talk, because they're terrified of the answer. Because, you know, very often a man is really happy just the way things are. And I think that often a man can't see how a woman, you know, integrating a woman into his life is going to make his life bigger. I think he may fear that inherent fear that men have is that getting into a relationship can make their lives smaller, that they have to fit into the woman's life, and their social programs and their friends. Often when I get I write the profiles for the women in the group because I write it how a man would want to read it. And often when I collect the material from the women, they'll talk about their lives, and their lives will be so full. They're trying to impress the man by saying, well, on Tuesdays I do this, and I go to these book clubs, and I do all these things. And first, a man may not know how to integrate it into her life, let alone her integrate into his life. But he may feel like he needs to live someone else's dream, that he has to live her dream, and by integrating her into his life, that he's going to have to give up something very important, and it's not worth it to him. And he doesn't see the other side of that line.
Yeah. Well, and also sometimes the woman isn't really making an invitation to the man to bring this man in and meet in the middle, where it's, she's got so many, like her agenda can be so full, and she's not even really thinking about, wow, what does he want to do? What are the things I can also do with him that he's looking forward to doing, which may be sitting on the sofa on Super Bowl Sunday and eating junk food and drinking beer.
As we did.
Right. And that may not have been, if you had asked me on Sunday what I wanted to do, actually, I wanted to be with you. So, and eating junk food and drinking beer is never bad. And watching cute guys run around a field, even though I have no interest in football. But a lot of times, I think when we're single, and especially as women, and we're so used to taking care of everything ourselves, doing everything ourselves, we are thinking about, oh, I would love a man who'll come to church with me. I'll love a man who will go to family gatherings. I want a man who will travel with me. And you may want, a woman may want all of those things, but this has to be a two-way street.
Yeah. Sometimes a man will feel like they're going to be the plus one in a woman's life.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I think sometimes men have been the plus one in a woman's life. And even in a bigger, if we're taking this out into something bigger, a lot of men have given up their hopes, their dreams. If they're divorced, if they've been married before and they're divorced, many men have sacrificed and given up a lot for women who may not have appreciated everything they were doing. And they may also have felt like it was never enough for that woman. And so now, if they're divorced, they may really enjoy being able to keep that line, to maintain their autonomy and freedom, and let a woman in only as much as feels comfortable for them.
Yeah.
But because maybe they let in the wrong women in the past, and they haven't met a woman who they really feel safe. Like you can talk about you.
Mm-hmm. Well, first, you brought up something really important, that they may have had a very bad breakup or divorce, but they may have also seen a very dysfunctional relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
And they said, I never want to duplicate that again. I never want to duplicate that again. So for me, first, when you and I met, it was such an entry to, like, this is a real possibility.
But let me pause you for a moment, because I was really actually referring to your profile, which was very, where you very clear made it very clear the degree to which you were willing to integrate a woman into your life. Can you talk about that?
Well, I had gone through a miserable, brief marriage. I think I was married once when I was young, And I really feel that she shouldn't have married me. And the second marriage, which was very brief, I shouldn't have married her.
Mm-hmm.
And there was such a lingering hangover from that relationship that, you know, I knew that I couldn't replicate it. It would kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really drew boundaries. And when you and I met, and you know, boundaries even in my profile say, well, maybe we could have separate residences, and
Which angered some women who read your profile.
yeah. But you know, those were the women I wanted to turn off, because I was scared, I was hurt, I was disillusioned.
Well, and you paid a high price for that.
Yeah, health-wise, too.
Health-wise, mentally, financially, everything. I mean, that brief relationship that was only really, you were married for a year and then how long?
Married for 4 years, together for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it took an additional 2 years of counseling and just to kind of seal the deal that it would never work.
Well, and it was a marriage, if I can even add, that you knew the day you were getting married that you were making a mistake. And you've shared before that it felt like a runaway train.
Yeah, you know, when you start making plans for marriage, it is like a runaway train, because you know, the invitations are made, the florist is paid for, you know, the room is rented, the caterer is arranged, the invitations are out, all of those things. So, you know, I did the best I could, and it was just, you know, I integrated the wrong person, and that was the lingering fear that would happen again, and I could never ever let that happen again.
And you have to think that so many men feel that way. So many people, so many women feel that way. If you really stop and think about it, if you started out, you met somebody and you thought, okay, I'm going to marry this person and spend my life, and you keep hoping things will get better and they just get worse. And then you think, oh my gosh, like what if that happens again? What if I meet another person and it looks good? And then we wind up again, just spiraling into this awful place.
Well, I think the things that were lacking in the prior relationships was that I never established trust and safety, and the type of shared experiences didn't have the depth that really convinced me that this person could be what you and I refer to in our groups, the guardian of my soul. You know, that someone who not only could see more of me than I could see of myself, but someone who could see my soul's journey and nurture that, and not let their own needs and wants and even pettiness and their own fears and insecurities hamper my soul's journey.
Well, and if I can just say, I'm going to digress for one little moment here. My experience of being your partner is that you are just one of the most extraordinarily kind and generous and thoughtful human beings I've ever met in my life. And to be the lucky recipient of all of that kindness and thoughtfulness and generosity is extraordinary. And I couldn't even imagine how it would have felt for you to be doing that for a partner, because I know that's just in your nature. That's how you are. And I'm not saying that you were perfect and your partner was, you know, diabolical. That's not, you know, or your exes were, I don't know any of them. And I don't know, you know, I've never met any of these women, but I can only imagine as a man. You know, I remember stories of one woman that you dated who lived quite a distance away, and every weekend you'd pack up the car and go and see her, and it was quite a long drive, and then there would be fights and arguments, and you'd wind up sleeping on the sofa. after you'd driven all the
Right.
way up there
Right.
and made these heroic, gestures. So I couldn't even imagine. And I think you're not unique in that men want to make us happy, and they may be imperfect. They may not be doing a perfect job of it and hitting all the right notes. But when a woman can sit back and appreciate a good man and see the generosity and appreciate his efforts, it just breaks my heart to think how many men must feel that they can't make a woman happy, and they come out of those relationships and they're just like, never again.
Yeah. And if a man doesn't feel the appreciation, gratitude, or having his masculinity mirrored back to him, that it's, there's no reason to have someone enter his life, because those three things are so crucial to him.
Yeah. And I want to share just for a moment, when we talk about being guardians of each other's souls, I want to share something
Please.
that just happened to illustrate for everybody the extent of the love that you have for me. And this is one of the most beautiful illustrations. I have wanted to write a book forever. I have been looking for a ghost, somebody who can help ghostwrite and work with me, because I'm not a writer. I'm a thinker. I'm an innovator. I'm a creator. I'm a speaker, but I'm not a writer, a professional writer. My writing skills are not at the level that I would want them to be to write the quality of book that I'm longing to write. And there is a woman who's writing that I've recently discovered, who I am in awe of. I think that this woman would be the person who could capture my thoughts, our thoughts, and help us put our message out in the way we want to. But I'm also a little shy. I'm not shy, but I'm a little, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not always the person to go out and say and reach out for help or whatever. And I sent you some samples of her writing, and I said, I think, I would love to contact this person, but I'm a little bit I don't know how to say it, but it's a little hard for me to reach out like that. And you didn't skip a beat. Like, that same day, within hours, you sent her an email, and you said, my wife, is a love coach, and we're looking for somebody to work with us on a book project. And you did that for me. And you've done.
And she wrote back.
And and it was just the most amazing thing, because I don't know where this will go, but I know that it could have taken me months to do what you just, it's like you just grabbed it and ran with it, and you reached out and wrote her this beautiful, beautiful message. So, that's being a guardian of someone's soul. You do the things for me that sometimes take those steps, or help me take those steps that sometimes I'm afraid to take or wouldn't take without your love and your support. So that's what being a guardian of someone's soul is. So
Yeah. And, there's an equality. So the fact that I feel that from you, makes it so easy for me to be that guardian of your soul.
Yeah.
Because I feel it in return. And if a man feels like he's just, he's really looking out for someone, but there's not reciprocity, then it just gets old.
Yeah.
It gets old. And, there's, so many men feel eventually their lives are just become a little more hollow.
Yeah.
Rather than enriched.
Yeah, because there's not that appreciation and the reciprocity. So let's just say there are men who are wounded, avoidant, narcissistic, damaged, and all, who literally cannot integrate a woman into their lives. For whatever reasons, there are men where this is an impossibility. They cannot have a close, emotionally naked, intimate relationship with a woman. They just can't. Or they can only do that to a certain degree that is comfortable for them. And then they have to, they have to draw a line. That being said, there are men who, if they meet the right woman, like Rebecca and Sam, Rebecca is my head coach, and Sam had gone through a bad divorce, and he, like you, did not want to get remarried. He had certain ideas that he would not do those things again. And he met Rebecca, and I asked him, I said, what made you decide to propose to Rebecca? And he said, how could I not? How could I not propose to her? He said, she allows me to bring all of who I am. She encourages me to bring my whole self into this relationship. No woman has ever done that for me before. And so why wouldn't I have proposed to her? So that's where I want to go, babe.
One of the things that comes to mind is that both my parents have passed, but you were so supportive of not only me visiting my parents, but you coming along and you being enthusiastic and you being the daughter that they never had. And that meant the world to me. And it didn't happen in prior relationships. I mean, my parents hardly saw the
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, it was just that that you were so willing and supportive that, of course, I wanted to integrate you into my family.
Which is so crazy because I was so honored. I loved that you wanted to share all of those things with me. And it was such a joy just to be with you, to know your parents. And, it was such a great joy to me to be able, in fact, your mother and I share, your mother's name was Joy.
Right.
And my middle name is Joy, but it really was literally a joy to be able to be a part of all of that and share that with you and to know you at an even deeper level, because I had a close relationship with your family and your parents.
And I felt that when we were together and when I was with a colleague or colleagues, that you were more than supportive. You really built me up in other people's eyes. And so, of course, I wanted to integrate you into my life, every part of my life, which I have. There's not an aspect that I haven't invited you in. And, you participate to the degree that that's comfortable for you in your life. But the invitation, there's open invitations to in both of our lives. And we both also appreciate our personal time with our friends, one-on-one, all of that. But we support it. It's not we allow it, we support it.
Yeah. So something that I realized when I was dating, I looked out into the world and I looked at other women, as they were aging, in particular, as they were getting older. And I saw that for many, many women, I noticed that the road got narrower. They had more rules, more restrictions, they became more rigid, more demanding, more entitled. And I found this very unattractive.
And as we age, we get more set in routines, in things that we do, things that we like, things that we don't like, as you're saying.
Yeah. And I said, I don't want to be that way. I want the road to get wider. I want to become more open, more expansive. I want my world to become bigger. And so for me, I wanted the road to widen. This was an intention I set for myself. And in that, I realized that in retrospect, I was making more room for a man in my life instead of coming up and putting more things on my list. You know, I need this, I need that. It has to look like this. He's got to be like that. I actually was taking things off my list and I was letting go of things, and I kept expanding my vision of how this could look and who this person could be. And instead of modifying it and and saying, oh, well, this horrible experience happened, so now I have to guard against this thing or that thing, my motto as I dated became, how can I have this experience and let it open my heart wider instead of putting more bricks in that wall?
Beautiful.
And so that really was a very conscious and, a well thought out conscious intention, because I had been so narcissistic and rigid and, oh, I have all the answers and I know everything and I have it all figured out. So it became more about surrendering in every moment and realizing. And when I met you, I've shared this with our group, but when I met you, I was so in awe of you. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this amazing man who is everything I ever dreamed of and more, is really likes me and he's interested and he's pursuing me. And I said to myself, I said, Lisa, you're nowhere near where he is. Like, this man is so evolved and aligned and conscious and self-actualized. And I thought to myself, you're going to mess up. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to make mistakes. And I was playing in the big leagues, right? And I was going to fumble the ball from time to time. But I gave myself permission to do that. And because I'd been in a 12-step program, and one of the many beautiful lessons I learned through that experience was to keep my side of the street clean. And so I knew my heart was in the right place. I knew I had a good heart. I knew I wanted to do good and do well by you and us. And so I just knew I could keep my side of the street clean. So I'd come in, and if I did fumble the ball, I would clean it up quickly, and I would take ownership of whatever I may have missed. But in that, I think I kept showing you over and over again, even if I did make a mistake, how thoughtful I was, how much I cared about you, how I was witnessing your reactions. And I'm hoping that made you feel how much I cared about you, even if I did get it wrong.
And I felt how much you were and how much potential there was to make my life bigger and bigger and bigger, which it has become. But as important, I felt that I could make your life bigger. And if I didn't feel like I could make your life bigger, then it would be shallow, and to have that interaction where we both make our lives bigger, expansive, and, help lead each other, or at least guide each other, not even lead, but guide each other into areas that we never would have gone and, never dreamed possible. And it's created, with these over 20 years, this contentment and excitement at the same time, because there's really a contentment, like the marble has found its groove.
It's so crazy, because when you said that, which was so beautiful, I hadn't really thought about that. I think that one of the big issues and why men don't want to integrate certain women into their lives. And here's the thing I really want to underscore for everybody, for all the women who are listening. One of the reasons, like where we were going with this conversation, was that with the men who really will who are looking for relationship, who want relationship, because those guys are out there. They are out there. They're looking for relationships, but they can tell very quickly when they're on a date with a woman, they can tell very quickly if they will have any influence and for that woman. And many women today have cultivated this, I want a man, but I don't need a
Right.
man kind of attitude. And I have to say, you just pinpointed something so important there, babe, that if a man doesn't feel that he has anything to offer a woman, that there is any way he can be a guardian of her soul, he's not going to waste his time. He may enjoy her company, see her from time to time. You know, he may find value. She may be a pretty woman. She may be great in bed. She may be intelligent, you know, intellectually stimulating, and he may find some enjoyment in her company, but he will not see her as his future life partner.
And that's one of the dangers of a woman hanging in a relationship where it's pretty much static. You know, it's pretty much, you know, it's nice to have dinner together. It's nice to go to, you know, theater occasionally a weekend getaway. But mostly she's fitting into his life.
But the point is that not all of those men whose lives these women are fitting into are men who wouldn't integrate the right woman into their lives.
Exactly. But the fact that the woman appears content with the way things are, he's saying, well, this is all I can offer.
And this is good enough for now.
Yeah. And, you know, I can offer her dinners. I can offer her, you know, we enjoy, you know, intimacy, all these things. And so he doesn't feel the woman's need for something more. There's never that conversation of, you know, what you're offering me and what I can see for us in the future.
Because she's actually not inviting him into her life.
Exactly.
By not having that conversation.
That's exactly it.
Interestingly enough, we have two women right now, one in SSW and one in the mastermind. The one in the mastermind seems at least to be going along and fitting into this man's life and not really, she gets up to that edge, but never really asks, you know, where are we going? What does the future look like for us? I would love to imagine what that would look like. The other woman, I pushed her on that in that workshop last weekend, and I said to her, you know, you're not asking the crucial questions. You need to get to see if he can envision a future for the two of you. And she took me up on the challenge. She went out and she had that conversation with him, and they've started visioning what that future will look like. And unless that conversation happens, a lot of men think everything's okay. The woman's fine with the way things are. And of course, he's fine with the way things are. But there's got to be somebody who risks, because great relationship, like when I turned to you in that bathroom on Catalina Island, and I said, you know, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. That was a risk. To say that, I felt safe and I felt like I could say that. And you said to me, what? What was your answer?
Well, first, both of our mouths were full of toothpaste, but somehow I got out the words, you better.
Yeah. And that was an invitation. And we both stepped into that moment, and look at where we are now. Right? But somebody has to risk in relationship. Otherwise, you know, two people can go along. And I want to reiterate, a lot of these men who are compartmentalizing or going along and just enjoying things the way they are, many of those men and some of these women really pay the price. Another woman will come along who is exciting and who wants connection and wants to build a relationship and is passionate about that. And they bring a man into that dream with them. And these women find that the man will end the relationship with her and marry the next woman. And it's a heartbreak because they're setting themselves up for this.
Yeah.
So and this brings me, I want to go back to one other point before I go to the next one, honey. This brings me to a woman who's in our mastermind right now, who came on a call last week and shared that she knows that she's with the guardian of her soul. One of the most beautiful things as you were talking that I realized is she has a fabulous business. She's really a powerhouse. This woman is, I'm in awe of her. She's really amazing. And I had said to her, I really see the two of you eventually working together, that this would be an incredible thing. And here's the thing. She put out an invitation. She started to have that conversation with him. But the beauty of it is he said, well, I have my career and I can't just, I'm not just going to leave that, whatever. But he's been helping her in her business. And she is so capable. This woman is so put together and so competent. But what is so lovely and what touched my heart when she was talking was when she lit up. And I felt like she was like a little girl, like seeing Oz, the wizard, and she said, it's so wonderful because he's helping me out. And there's all these things he's doing. And she admitted, she said, I'm not so good at this, or I'm not great at this. And he is. And it's so wonderful. And it was so beautiful because if he feels that from her,
he will feel it, that he's going to feel bigger and happier and just thrilled that he's able to make her happy and make her life bigger. It makes his life bigger.
Oh, just like you were saying, how it makes your life bigger to be able to reach out to this writer on my behalf and be able to do those things for me. Oh my goodness, if he could have seen the look on her face when she was talking about the contribution and how she lit up as she was talking about the things that he's able to offer her and do for her. It was so beautiful. And for a man to feel that he can contribute in those ways, so many women are almost have this idea that to receive that kind of help from a man is a weakness on their part. Like a man thinks that they're not capable of doing something or that they couldn't do it on their own. And I'm just like the total opposite. I'm like, no, please do these things for me. It makes my life so much easier and so much richer. And a man, I think, with so many overly qualified women, it's almost like you look at resumes and you think, okay, I'm trying to fill this job position, but this person is overqualified. It's almost like for some men, I'm sure they look at a woman that they meet and they think, oh my God, goodness, she's amazing. She's phenomenal, but she's overqualified for the job of being my partner, for the position of life partner, because she's got it all together and I have nothing to offer her.
And beautifully said. And getting back to women who deeply want a co-integrated relationship, and they keep going on dates and it turns out not to be the right guy, or as they become closer, he pulls away and it just becomes this back and forth, and it eventually ends time and time again. Or they're swiping and on scammers, on like guys that seem really put together.
We see that a lot.
Yeah, that it's almost like women are shooting arrows to hit a target, and they're just missing the target because they're not recognizing early on that that they're the common denominator, that they're searching for men that have certain looks, certain physical appearance, and they're going for that, or they're going for other things. But in their profiles, I encourage women to reread the profiles that we create together with them. That what are they really looking for? They're looking for a man who is loving, who is affectionate, who is supportive, who is non-judgmental, who is emotionally available, is a good communicator. They may be a good father, if it's a divorced relationship with kids, and the women may have children, and this may be a wonderful man to integrate a family with. They're looking for men who live in integrity and possess self-awareness and all of these things. And if they kept their eye on the prize, they would be hitting the target.
Right.
But they're looking for physical appearance. They're looking for, guys that seem like they're really, like exciting and which is great. It's great to, fall in love with someone that you're attracted to, of course, and who is exciting in their lives, but not to disregard those most important things. And the men who have integrated, the hundreds of women in the program that have found their partners, and the men have integrated them into their lives, they're usually not what the woman had in mind initially, as this idealized vision that they may have started to develop when they were 14.
Right.
And just, now they're in their 50s and they still have that same idealized vision of the guy's going to look like this, he's going to, act like this. And it's usually a surprise. And these women are ecstatic.
Yeah.
They're, it's truly happily ever after.
It is.
Yeah.
I think, and I say this to a lot of the women. It's not like there's some cosmic joke, that you're going to meet the guardian of your soul and he's going to be like a gnome and somebody that's totally unappealing to you. I mean, it all fits together. And statistics show that we tend to meet a partner who is very equal in attractiveness to us. We see in all of our couples, we look at those couples
Right.
and see the photographs of the couples, and it's remarkable how they look like if you were matching two people up, you would put those two people together. It's amazing. And there's a comfort in being with somebody who is, your physical equal, like who is equal in attractiveness. I would never have, I am not a supermodel. I don't take care of, I don't go to the gym constantly and take care of myself in that way. And I'm not, I've never been at my ideal weight, barely, I think, for a nanosecond. But I want to be with somebody where I can be myself and I'm not striving to be constantly someone I'm not. I take care of myself and I get to a certain weight. I have to, but I don't want to live and struggle to be someone I'm not. I'm with a partner who adores me and accepts me the way I am. And I love, and we think we love the way we look.
and we chose each other because we have similar core values. So it's very easy to integrate into each other's lives because we have those same core values and even cultural background that, it could be exciting to, and we constantly hear stories about, people who have great marriages from very different cultures. But I don't want to disregard the fact that it can make a difference in how we integrate each other into each other's lives.
And one last thing, I just want to say there's two main points to this talk. One is, if you are not, there are men out there who will integrate women into their lives. They don't want to be alone, just like we don't want to be alone. But there's a lot of men who are just sick and tired, they don't want to accommodate a woman constantly. And they've tried, they've overextended themselves. It didn't work. They weren't appreciated. And a lot of men have said, I'm not going to do that again. So if you are not finding men who will integrate you into their lives, you're the common denominator. You have to look at that. You have to ask yourself, why are men not integrating me into their lives? Am I picking the wrong men? Am I attracted to the wrong things? What is it about me that these men don't want to integrate me into their lives?
Am I afraid to have the conversation?
Am I afraid to have the conversation? Am I not inviting a man into my life? Am I waiting for a man just to integrate me into his life? And I'm not saying, hey, what would it look like to integrate our lives? And are you open to that? So you've got to look at yourself as the common denominator here. You also have to ask yourself, am I the kind of woman who wants a man but doesn't need a man? Because I can tell you, if a man said that to me, if a man ever said to me, I want a woman, but I don't need a woman, I would be like, adios, muchacho, I'm out of here. I would not do that for a second. I want a man who needs a woman, and I need a man. I love having a man in my life. I don't want to have to do all of these things for myself. I know where my limitations are. And it is the greatest gift in my life to have this beautiful man who's looking for all the things he can do for me and doing them. So I want that. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. It doesn't make me weaker. It makes me stronger to have a man who will do that. And I have learned how to welcome that and welcome you into my life and make room for you. The last thing, there was one other thing I wanted to say about this. So you've got to look at yourself and you've got to ask yourself, am I picking the wrong men? Am I not inviting men into my life? Is there room for a man, to integrate into my life and bring his full self? Am I going to make room for him? Am I going to sit on the sofa with him, even if I'm not a football fan, and eat junk food and drink beer and watch the game on a Sunday just to hang out with him? Am I going to go and spend time with his mother and his father or his children and do the things that he needs me to do? You've got to meet in the middle, and it has to be fun. Really great men, they don't want women who are going to sit around and overthink and ask questions. And yes, okay, so if you want to read the Gottman 8 Dates, maybe you'll find a guy who will do that with you. But mostly really great men, they want women they can relax around and play with and have fun with. They don't want to just be intense and talking about the relationship all the time. Do you want to add anything, babe?
I think you've said it all. It's ultimately, a man inherently wants a woman in his life, and wants a partner, and wants a guardian of his soul. And it's establishing the trust, the safety, the shared time, the time together, the shared experiences, and really showing that for a woman to show a man that his life can become bigger, and that to allow a man to see that he could make her life bigger. And that's really about finding the guardian of your soul.
And I remember what I was going to say. One of my very conscious intentions when I was dating was to become the kind of woman that a man would want to integrate into his life. Mm-hmm. I really worked on that. That was something that didn't come naturally to me. And I really had to let go of making it all about me all the time.
Because I think that growing up, you've learned as a defense mechanism to have a certain persona which actually separated you from.
Yeah, it was a turnoff. I mean, I was interesting instead of interested. I was trying to really sell myself and, and be the, impress men instead of being impressed by men. And it took a lot for me to be able to learn how to do that. But I think I was thinking about this the other day, like what man wouldn't love sitting across from a woman who just was intrigued by him and wowed by him. And, even if you go on a date with a guy you never want to see again, just to sit there and ooh and ah, and if he doesn't shut up, just find him fascinating and learn how to do that, because I think so many women want men to be impressed by them. And of course, I know you are. I know you admire and respect me, but I think men want to feel, as men, that their women look up to and respect them as well.
Yeah, and respect is probably the tantamount thing that men need.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women don't really know how to do that. They somehow feel like, well, then that's going to make me less than, whatever. But if you're really with a great man who sees you as his equal, then you don't even have to worry about that. I was saying to somebody, I was telling Rebecca, I said to her, I never have asked you what you love about me or why you fell in love with me or any of those things. I took it on faith because I respect you so much. And I know that you have such discerning tastes that you wouldn't have chosen me if you didn't admire and respect me. You wouldn't be with a partner that you didn't have those feelings for. But I've never asked you to put into words what those things are, because then I'd start doing them consciously. I'd start trying to be that person, and it would be inauthentic. And I just take it on faith that you have those feelings for me, and I never want it to be unnatural. So I've never asked. All right, everybody, on that note, we are going to say goodbye. I know we had some comments in the chat. I wish we could have answered some of the questions, but we went on a long time. Minerva, I'll answer this really quickly, or maybe Benjamin can. So for a man to integrate you, you must integrate him first.
Well, I think it's mutual. I don't think it's one then the other. I think that
it's a co-creation.
It's a co-creation.
Yeah, but you have to find a willing partner. And if you don't ask those important questions and really see it, and really know that both people are on the same page and wanting to co-create this together, then if you don't have a willing participant, there's no invitation for that to happen. All right, everybody. We send you so much love. Thank you for being here today. We hope you got a lot out of today's conversation. Please give us a heart or a thumbs up if you enjoyed the talk. And also give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Rate and like our channel. You can also rate and like this podcast. We appreciate your feedback and your comments. We take them to heart. Send us your ideas for future talks. You can send those to podcast@lisashield.com. And please go to lisashield.com and watch my free presentation. I have a brand new 7-minute presentation that has been knocking it out of the park. We would love for you to see that and sign up for a call with a member of my team where we will help you look at how we can show you how to find the guardian of your soul. So please come back and let us help you. Let us show you how we can help you change your life. If you're interested in working with Benjamin and me, then this is your opportunity. And we wish you the best day ever. Please tell everybody you know, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers and daughters and sons and your guy friends and your girlfriends, everyone you know about this broadcast. Help us spread the word. We really want to get our message out there. We feel like we're saying something in a way that no one else is saying it. So please, please, please come back and see us again, and much love to you. Bye-bye.